all this talk about, all this chatter at GM, and the fix was changing the oil viscosity and the quality and all this other. It's all BS. Those vehicles are not the only vehicles, and GM is not the only one. Let me just show you. GM is not the only one with engine issues. Just GM is in the spotlight, right? So GM's in the spotlight. And it's only a certain years of the GM vehicles that they're doing this to. DOD is a problem. Not for only GM, but multiple manufacturers. Direct injection, problem for every manufacturer. Except for Toyota, I think that they do a little bit better of a design. The biggest problem is right here. The oil, the engine oil, it cannot meet the demands of the engine and the driver. Lack of maintenance, lack of customers following good maintenance schedules. GM is not the only one with internal engine failure. And GM is only saying we're going to take care of a certain amount of years of these vehicles with this engine. GM has been having camshaft and lifter failure for many years. Roller rocker failures. They call them trunnion failures. This is all from lack of lubrication and the proper lubrication. And it's just strange that now the oil geek is like speaking up a little bit. Don't follow OEM oil specifications and maintenance intervals. I've been saying this for years. GM is not the only ones. Honda is the same way. Toyota, same way. You're telling me nobody can build a decent engine today? If they tested the product properly, educated the consumer properly, used the proper products in the engines that the consumers are putting under these engines today, they wouldn't be eating engine failure as much as they are. Just my opinion. DOD is stupid. GM tried to do that with the Cadillac engines way back in the day, turning off valves and all this stuff. Now you got manufacturers that have, I'm going to pull Scotty on you, that have electronic valve train. How stupid is that? Customers can't afford to fix them when they go bad. DOD, no one can afford to fix it out of warranty. And if they do, they got a sour taste in their mouth for GM. The small block Chevy was legitimately almost a bulletproof engine. Do you follow what I'm saying? The LS engine was the best in its class. Yes, did they have some flaws? I do believe so. I do believe if the oil change impregnation in people's brains, the oil change saying, hey, we're done with this 5,000, we're done with this 8,000, we're done with 10,000, we're done with 20,000, we're done with 30,000, we're done with annual oil changes, and stop all the nonsense to the consumer, you would have people that would not have so much engine failure today. This is facts, people. But finally, this is the guy that people trust, right? He's got 553,000 views in one day. Oil geek expert. I've actually heard this guy say, you can, and you could, and it's tested, and it's done this, and it's done that. Then why are the oils that everyone is recommending in these engines? Oil consumption rate is through the roof. Carbon valves is through the roofs. Camshafts, followers, lifters, timing chains, oil pumps. There's so much internal engine failure today than ever. And I say, it's the oil, it's lack of educating the consumer, it's lack of testing their products. When you have a problem, like we'll just say, if you look at the GM, we're just going to say the roller rockers, right? And they're called trunnions. That the trunnion needle bearings were falling apart and they were punching holes in pistons and blowing motors way before DOD. Way before. This is nothing new. I can remember one time pulling a small block Chevy apart many, many years ago for a customer, and it's here for a valve tap and a misfire. I pulled the valve cover off. The rocker arm, which was a stamped rocker arm at that time, the valve stem wore through the rocker arm. Why do you think that happened? Lack of lubrication. Lack of oil. The inside of that valve cover was black and disgusting. He didn't take care of that car. And probably when it needed the valve adjustment, he ignored it, but he kept just running the oil. You know, those engines you could really abuse. You're not really abusing today's engines. Some of these don't even have camshaft bearings. It's just a cap that the camshaft was machined to ride on. So yeah, so 040 now in your GMs. And I'm going to tell you, that's probably still not enough. The power these engines make today, the fuel that they're using, in my opinion, for the power output on these cars is just not adequate. And the maintenance intervals for these engines today, they're near race engines, and the consumers have no clue how to maintain a race engine. That's what it is. Where are superchargers come from? Racing. Turbochargers, racing. High compression engines, racing. Timing systems that you can control on the fly, or digitally, or automatically, or have programs. Multiple variable valve timing actuators and solenoids. Highly sophisticated race engines with a catalytic converter and multiple mufflers to keep them quiet. And the customers don't know how. They're like, they get in there, wow, this thing's so fast, it's got so much power, but they maintain it like their 1970s and 80s vehicle. And they don't change their oil every 3,000 miles. So GM's been having engine problems for a long time. And the LS engine is probably one of their best things. And they had issues too, but I would say lack of lubrication, lack of the proper add packs. Chrysler, same way. How many Chrysler 3.6 come in with the roller follower? The roller itself is worn out and grinding on the camshaft, on top of timing chain issues and all the other shit. Lack of lubrication. Customers not coming in soon enough for an oil change. I have some 3.6 engines that are completely silent and quiet. Customer comes in and maintains their car properly. It's not a mess. They're coming in 3,000, 4,000, pushing it 5,000, 300,000 miles. Engine's quiet. No timing chain codes, no issues. Other repairs. Honda with all their internal engine issues, just garbage build. Toyota's dropping engines, right? You tell me Toyota can't build an engine nowadays? Bull crap. Untested, using the wrong lubricating products. No different than GM's transmission saying, oh, well, this transmission fluid that they delivered the truck in doesn't work. And then the Band-Aid is, okay, let's pump some, a different fluid in it from Mobil 1. It's no secret. GM doesn't even use GM fluid in the transmissions when they have problems. They try and buffer the problem with a different fluid and get it past the warranty. And then now, they're going to slap 040 in these cars. And they're going to... And it's amazing what the right oil will do for your engine. The longevity, that's facts. The right oil, the proper oil, the correct oil, the weight of the oil. So now, this is like a Band-Aid. It's like, all right, well, we only have a few years to deal with this. So whatever ones that don't have blown up engines and need internal repairs, you're going to change the filter. You're going to put a new oil cap on it that says use this oil only. And I'm sure they have to say somewhere change your oil every 3,000 miles. But this is nothing new. And GM is only in the limelight right now. Acura just had a huge recall for same problem, bottom ends failing. You pull the dipstick on those engines that are failed, the oil stick's burnt. Why? Because the engine ran low on oil and started taking out the bottom end. That's how it works. Your engine has so much oil that it's pumping through the engine and requires to be full at all times to lubricate and protect your engine. Drop 2 quarts of that oil in your 4.5 quart system. Whatever oil it's sucking up between here and here is at the top of the engine and has to wait to fall back down. There's starvation and aeration going on, depending on the driver. If they're heavy-footed, they're just beating the crap out of their engines. Why do you think the Acura engines wiped out the bottom ends and shut off? No oil pressure. Oil consumption, right? So we're going to start here. Your oil's full, 3.5 quarts today I've seen. 4 quarts, 4.5 quarts on these smaller, most popular engines. They all consume oil. They're all extending their oil changes, right? And then you're down to 2 quarts. Oh, Mr. Customer, your engine oil is not even reading on your stick. Oh, yeah, never mind. I'm just going to take it someplace else. And they just drive away with 2 quarts in their engine. Antifreeze in your engine? No. Don't worry about that. The coolant bottle's empty? Don't worry about that. It's supposed to sound that way. No, I just had my oil change done. You don't even know if the guy even did the oil change right. But back to the story. All right, so 4.5 quarts. Now you're down to 2.5 quarts or 2 quarts. The engine's pumping a quart or two up as it's running to the top of your engine. To the top of your engine. And the oil has to wait to come back down and fill the sump. Okay, there's cavitation when the engine oil gets low, which is starvation of oil. Takes out timing chains, takes out VVTs, right? And when the lack of oil pressure on the VVTs and the cam phasers and all that stuff, it retards and advances the timing and causes even more issues. And how do you avoid that? You have to come in for sooner maintenance, unfortunately. You know, GM is not the only one with engine issues. They're just in the limelight right now. So I'm glad that the Motor Oil Geek actually posted something here. You know, stop following OEM advice. I've been saying it for years. Stop following OEM advice. It's not good for your vehicle. And I'm curious if DOD would have actually survived better with a 1040. And they're saying 040. How about 1040? I'm just curious. Anyone who gets this truck and they use 040, I want you to switch it. Even if you get a new engine, don't even use 040. Put 1040 in it and see how long that engine will last. You know, I'm saying double what it's saying. Toyota says 0.08, 0.16. I'm saying long term, that is nothing but issues. Long term. That doesn't tell me there's engines that are going to see 300,000 miles. That's my honest opinion with the consumer's behaviors of overextending the oil changes with oil consumption, fuel dilution, poor maintenance practices or no maintenance practices. You're not going to see GM Toyota vehicles get 300,000 miles out of their engines anymore. We're going to see. Thanks for watching.